So here's the truth about prayer and the foundation that we can stand on for the weeks to come. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. That sounds like it's written by someone who's never been anxious. Someone who's never really been through what I've been through. It sounds like religious well-wishing. It's not that simple. If it's that simple, why doesn't it seem to work that simply? Well, I skipped a part. Did you notice that? See, every time I hear this passage referenced, it always starts with human need. Do not be anxious about anything. But that's not where the passage starts. It does not begin with need, it begins with promise. It starts here, the Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything. And the deep fear that robs our prayers of power is the Lord isn't near. It's the lie that God has forgotten me, that I'm actually not in good hands, that my future is not secure. It's the worry that at the end of the day, this God, near or far, can't be trusted, that he's something less than who he promises to be, and that when it really comes down to it, I'm out here on my own. All four gospel authors remind us of Jesus flipping over the tables of the money changers in the temple in a holy tantrum. They all remember that moment when he prophetically scrubbed clean the corrupted temple of all the corruption that had stained the house of prayer. And in the midst of that rampage, this rabbi gone mad said through panted breaths, "Stop turning my Father's house into a market." Now that's significant because we're not talking about a composed, well-prepared moment of teaching. I'm talking about in the throes of righteous anger when Jesus is speaking from the gut and not from the head. He referred to the temple as my Father's house. And in first century Israel, the temple was the most revered building on earth. The Jewish people believed it was literally the house of Yahweh, the place where God's presence dwelt, the house God took up residence in. There were cleansing rituals required just to cross the threshold. There were qualifications related to how close you could get to the center. Even the majority of the priests could not enter the innermost room because it was believed that the temple was the presence of God. And Jesus is calling that same place home. My Father's house. In the presence of a God that even made the priests tense up, Jesus feels at home. Nancy Mayers says, who one believes God to be is most accurately revealed not in any credo, but in the way one speaks to God when no one else is listening. So when you utter the words, "Dear God," what is the expression on the divine face that you're interacting with? What are the thoughts running through that God's mind? What's his mood? Dear God, so sorry to bother you. Dear God, I know you're really busy, but dear God, I know I haven't stopped by in a while. My Father's house. That's a profoundly different starting place. The one assurance that fills our prayers with power and with faith is this: the Lord is near. Pete Greig says it this way: the most important discovery you will ever make is the love the Father has for you. Your power in prayer will flow from the certainty that the one who made you likes you. He is not scowling at you, he is on your side. Unless our mission and our acts of mercy, our intercession, petition, confession, and spiritual warfare begin and end in the knowledge of the Father's love, we will act and pray out of desperation, determination, and duty instead of revelation, expectation, and joy. The love of the Father, the most important discovery you will ever make, is just that. It's a discovery. It cannot be taught. It can only be discovered, and prayer is the place of that discovery, and everything else flows from it.